really small industry and a little bit like a tight-knit family. Still to this day, that resonates with me, and likely anyone who has had a chance to be a part of an airport family knows this. For the past 2 years, I've had the pleasure of being part of not one, but 2 airports in our county that add value to our region, county, and local communities. Airports are one of the most vital economic assets and transportation links to an area. Community airports have a multiplier effect on jobs and income, according to the U.S. Department of Commerce. Just like airports, Joe served his community and knew the benefits and the strategic value of our airports. Although I did not have the pleasure of meeting Mr. Minarovich, it seems he dedicated a lot of his life to teaching these values to students and those that were interested in learning about aviation. I was approached by several individuals who had similar thoughts about Joe, his passion for aviation, and how he felt about this airport specifically. He has had an impact on so many in the aviation field. He's most certainly part of this airport family, and he will continue to live on a legacy in aviation, especially in our area, for years to come. At this time, I would like to turn it over to our county executive, Mr. P.J. Wendell, to say a few words and to give today's dedication.
Thank you, Shannon, and yeah, what a beautiful day here in Chautauqua County. I'm really excited. I was talking to Greg Peterson earlier, and I'm excited now to be the biggest cheerleader of Chautauqua County. When I go anywhere, anywhere from our airports, which is amazing. I mean, if you come up here any one day, you'll find jets flying in. You'll find some people that like to come in here somewhat inconspicuously, like to hide here in Chautauqua County, and that's great. You come by, you'll see military aircraft waiting, to take off and waiting to leave. But enough can't be said about the beauty of these airports, and so privileged we are to have 2 of them in Chautauqua County. We're here to talk about a gentleman whose legacy will live on here in Chautauqua County, and especially in our aviation industry. I met Joe. I met him more through his son Tim as a wrestler, and I knew him as a wrestling dad, and was really surprised to know that Joe had a much larger family than I ever knew. I know of Tim and Tom, and then I realized I talked to his daughter. He had 8 children, right? 10. Okay, well, even more. So Joe definitely has a legacy of not only with his family, but his love for Chautauqua County. My story is somewhat personal. My brother wanted to be a pilot, my youngest brother, Brian, and just wanted to fly. And in his senior year in high school, he took a course right over here in one of the makeshift classrooms that they pulled in a trailer. And Joe taught him, the introductions to aviation. And my brother wanted to be a pilot. He was dead set. He was applying to Embry-Riddle. He was going to be a pilot. And Joe said, Brian, you really ought to look into, the mechanical part of it, airframe. No, I want to be a pilot. Joe's like, Brian, I'm telling you, nope, I want to be a pilot. So he got into Embry-Riddle, and he went down to Florida. And about 2 years into it, said, I'm done. I hate weather. I hate math. And I went into the airframe and power plant program, and he graduated in 2 years. His senior project, you're supposed to tear down and rebuild an engine. He did too. So really, Joe was the person who realized and saw the passion somebody has and guided them in the right direction. So my brother, I was with him just here recently on vacation. He said, if there's any one thing, express my gratitude. And now he's a lead mechanic with Southwest in over 25 years. So Joe shaped his career unknowingly. And I know we all do that at certain times. We don't know exactly where our paths are. But Joe always found the passion in people, and especially when it comes to aviation. So nothing more fitting than dedicating his time. And as I was told, Joe always wanted to have a playground up on the hill so children can come in a picnic area and watch the planes come in and out of Chautauqua County. So it was only fitting, that we found a small token to remember Joe. So at this time, we're going to pull back our covering and dedicate this bench to Joe Minarovich, which will be placed up on a hill and be the start of the park that he always wanted. So on behalf of myself and the residents of Chautauqua County, we thank Joe and his family for sharing him with us, and thank Joe for all of his dedication. And he is truly an ambassador and a lifelong resident of Chautauqua County. Thank you.
Thank you, PJ. At this time, we're going to bring up Mr. John Shedd. He's a longtime family friend of the Minarovich family, and he's going to read a biography written by the family members.
Thanks, Shannon. Nice job, PJ. Very good. I'm John Shedd. I didn't grow up in this area, but moved here about 30 years ago. Always have had a tremendous passion for aviation, and I met Joe because he was one of the best instructors around, and he was so passionate about being a flight instructor and about educating anyone from kids all the way through adults. So I was in that trailer with him as well, taking some ground school classes and flying around with Joe quite a bit. And we definitely became friends. He got me into being a director on the board for the Lucille M. Wright Air Museum. He had a way of getting people to contribute. Even if you were busy, he would find you. Great guy. And we became friends. I was really fortunate to have a friendship with him. Even in his later days when he was in the home, he would call me and talk to me about that hill and about the possibility of doing something up there. So I'm so grateful to Shannon and everybody who's been involved. Ellen, she's just been incredible throughout all of this. We're really grateful to all of you for letting this happen, and for the family. What an incredible family that Joe created here. So really, this is my pleasure to try to talk to you a little bit about Joe. Joe Minarovich was a wonderful man with a profound passion for aviation. He lived his life following his dream, contributing to the flying community and inspiring countless people along the way. He moved numerous times in his life following his career in aviation, and he spent his many last years in Jamestown creating a significant impact on our local aviation community. Joe was the loving husband of Alice and the father of 10 children, all of whom will cherish the memories of traveling to small airports throughout each family trip and flying with Joe in gliders and small planes throughout the years. His love for aviation began in childhood, where he was a charter member of the Black Forest's first ever glider club in his hometown of Vintondale, Pennsylvania. He joined the Army Cadet Program in 1943 before switching over to the U.S. Air Corps. Upon returning from the military, he continued his education, earning his bachelor's and master's degrees in aeronautical engineering at Penn State University, and graduating as a first lieutenant in reserve officer training. His more than 20 years working with the U.S. government included traveling with the War Department card when he was on orders with the U.S. Air Force Defense System, serving approximately 15 air bases, working with jet fighter squadrons along the northern border of the United States and Iceland. After this work for the government, he worked for approximately 7 years for NASA, helping to develop the concept for landing on the moon, working on the propellant utilization and gauging system, which made sure that the astronauts had enough fuel to get back to Earth. He also worked on the fuel system of the Saturn V, which was used in the transport of moon landings. In addition, he worked with the fastest airplane at the time, the Blackbird SR-71, which navigated using the stars with the precision of today's GPS. In his early days working with NASA, he helped train John Glenn to break the U.S. coast-to-coast speed record, and he flew with Pete Knight, holder of the world's speed record for flight in a manned aircraft. He went on to fly many aircraft, including Ford's Trimotor, a Goodyear blimp, from ultralights to gliders, to planes with more varied designs and specifications. You'd always see him up at Dart Field towing some of the gliders up there. Amazing to watch. He was part of designing the initial hydraulics on the C-130 Hercules aircraft. This was developed in the 50s and is the longest continuously in-use aircraft today, used by nations throughout the world. When Joe and his family eventually settled in Jamestown, New York, he found ways to share his aviation dreams and passions with others like me, and many who are here today, inspiring new interests and careers for generations in our local area. He became the FAA examiner for Chautauqua and Cattaraugus counties, a captain in the Civil Air Patrol, the aerospace education officer for New York Wing's Jamestown Composite Squadron, a certified flight instructor for single and multi-engine airplanes, and a well-known practitioner of classes on glider flying at Chautauqua Institution for approximately 15 years. He taught ground school at Jamestown Community College for JCC, and he was there for approximately 40 years, leading to the development of the professional pilot program. He was instrumental in developing the student exploratory aircraft mechanics program at BOCES, and he was a co-founder of Lucille M. Wright Air Museum in Jamestown, New York, which began in this large hangar right down the tarmac here. Over the years, many children in the area schools have enjoyed and appreciated his school assemblies and trips to the Lucille Wright Air Museum. As an active member of Western New York's Civil Air Patrol Group and the Jamestown Civil Air Patrol Squadron, Joe served as a check pilot, mission pilot, and aerospace education officer for both organizations. He especially loved flying gliders, and he spent weekends at Hartfield giving glider rides to kids and adults from our community. His passion and contributions to aviation had a profound impact on the aviation systems across the country, particularly in our area. He was an amazing man whose life impacted so many people in so many ways. I can't be more proud of Joe, and I'm so happy that this dedication is happening for him today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, John. At this time, we'd like to give the family and friends, anyone who wants to say anything and have any special moments, to come on up and can share your memories and share your stories. We'd love to hear. And while we're waiting for someone to come up, I just want to point out over here, this is the Civil Air Patrol group that we have here right now. Ellen, she's our Lieutenant Colonel of the Civil Air Patrol, and they'll be helping. You'll see them around here this whole weekend. As John was saying, this is where Joe started, right here at the Civil Air Patrol level. So I'll have you come on. Sure. Yeah.
I'm his daughter, Alice, and is that good?
A little shorter than John.
A little shorter. And many of my siblings have, and our families have come out here today. Some of them couldn't be here, but my dad, he made his flying passion, it's been a part of our lives since we were really little. Bear with me, I did not plan anything to say because I didn't know I'd be saying anything. But we all started when we were really little, and when we were just little, like toddlers and things, we would make it a part of us. So wherever we lived, at whatever moment, he would be taking 2, 3 of us at a time with him to the airports, and it would be an event for all of us. We would go, he'd take us, we'd have breakfast with him, he'd be out teaching his students, and we would have people at the airports, these smaller airports, watching us as we would explore the airport grounds. We'd call ourselves airport brats as we got older. But so we would really become familiar with whatever airport locations that we were at. So we grew up, but not as big groups, but small groups, so we all have different memories of different airports and different experiences growing up. And so he was always really keen on trying to make aviation important in our lives, but then he got that passion, and when we moved to this area, he brought it to the schools, and he really had a passion of making it so that kids could get the experience of aviation in their lives from an early start, so that they became familiar with it. More kids would become familiar with it that might not have ever really experienced it. That's why he wanted to bring it to the schools and bring the museum so that kids could have a place to really understand what flying and aviation was about. I've lived in Buffalo for years, and he even brought some of it up to Buffalo so my kids and their classmates could have a little bit of experience with it in their classrooms as well. So it's just a really big passion of his. While we were standing there, I have to just say a little, he was flying through to his like 70s, and my sister was telling this joke. He was flying through to his 70s, but we didn't want him driving into his 70s. He was fast in the air, but he was very slow in the car. So anyway, but we all, I mean, I see a small plane in the air, and I just kind of think of, yeah, hey, Dad, out there. So anyway, it's very nice that you all came out here. Thank you very much. And thank you for this lovely bench and dedication. It's a really nice surprise.
I'll jump up real quick. Thank you. Yeah. Hey, so I'm Steven. Joe's my dad. I'll echo, we grew up running this place. Tim and Tom and I running amok while Dad flew around in Broken Straw Airport. So a lot of my friends learned flying from my dad, and racquetball. If he was known for anything other than flight, it was racquetball, because he was beating my friends at JCC as well. So just to throw that out there. But the Lucille M. Wright Museum, for those involved in that, now that has the curator, and I was there yesterday, he's knowledgeable. He has a bit of my dad's energy to him, am I right about that? And his creative edge, his resourcefulness is like making something that was nothing into something. Sorry, like my dad would make things out of cardboard and recycled materials, being Depression era, and that gentleman has the same knack, I think. So, but thank you from the family to the museum and to the airport. So, thank you very much for that.
Alice, do you want to say anything?
I wasn't going to, but
Oh, come on up.
hi, I'm Lieutenant Colonel Ellen Maternowski. I am the commander of your local squadron here in Jamestown. Thanks to the Chautauqua County and to the airport, we meet here on Thursday nights. I got to meet Joe in 2000 when I first joined, and it's been a long road. I got to see him do his different things that he does, and I got to see him recruit, and I got to see him do aviation mechanics with the cadets. What an experience it was for them. And it was part of Civil Air Patrol too. So, and thank you, family. This is for him.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ellen. Anyone else at this time? It's okay if you want to. All right, well, if you want to say anything and didn't get a chance to, we'd like to have you stick around here. The museum, the Lucille M. Wright Museum, they contributed cookies and refreshments today, and we'd love to have you stick around and tell your stories. And we just want to thank you all for coming, and we're going to conclude our ceremony at this time.